Okay, now we have a game
Yeah, we played this in Hastings and
64
64,
65.
65, yeah. It was one of the decisive games then. I played against Helmut, against Pfleger, one of the most promising young grandmasters from Germany. By the way, he was, in that time, he was married with a Romanian girl, and he could speak a little bit of Romanian, a few words like this. He understood a little. But the game was very sharp, you see, and very, very interesting. We played the so-called Old Indian, where black comes with the bishop in e7. You remember, I played another important games like Reshevsky and so on. I had some success with this. Is a good line for black. In that time was very interesting. And the move order is also very important. So after bishop d3, he is playing the so-called Hungarian variation with white. The so-called Hungarian variation with white is like this: bishop d3, knight ge2, and knight g3. This is the idea, to put the knight in g3, controlling all the squares, And later on, if possible, he comes with h4 and so on. And if he has time, he can castle long side, and very, very sharp. Now, the problem is, what can black do to avoid this, I mean, not to allow all this, the plan. So here is move by move, therefore it's interesting. So castle, and after knight g2, immediately knight h5. Well, this is the problem. Now, if black has time to put the bishop in g5, it's immediately even game without too many problems.
To exchange the bishop.
To exchange the black bishop. This is the idea, And for the moment, you provoke him to play knight g3. Okay, he can play knight g3. Or g3. G3 is a very provocative move. After g3, bishop g5 is very, very sharp because white can play f4, but it's not clear at all who is better, You can take in f4, and when he takes in f4, you can give one check in h4, and the white king has no possibility to castle, and it's very unclear. Okay, so he played normal move, knight g3, and starting from here, we have the game. All right. Knight f4, of course, black doesn't take in g3. If you take in g3, after h takes g3, black has a very strong, white has a very strong position, very strong initiative, and black has nothing. I mean, you have to wait all the time, So knight f4, okay, he took in f4, I took in f4, knight h5. Well, he tries to demonstrate that even without the two bishops, white has good attacking chances, But again, it's move by move, as I told you. So bishop g5, and now immediately g3. Now, why immediately g3? Because if he played the normal move, queen f3, after knight bd7, black is almost winning, you see. If he played here instead of g3, queen f3, normal move to take the pawn, But after knight d7, it's very bad for white because he has no time to take him in f4. He can resign in 2-3 moves after knight e5. Completely winning for black. He loses something, at least a piece, So, okay, g3 is very sharp, but okay, starting from here, we have to see what happens, In some variations, black is ready to give a pawn for initiative, you see. But it's very, very complicated. All right, f5 is very good, because otherwise you lose a pawn if you don't play f5. So, okay, f5. Now he accepts the challenge, takes in f5 first. All right, we take, he takes, we take with the rook, and now queen g4. Okay, now what happens now? You have to take a decision. If you go back immediately with the rook, it's not very good because he controls the important square e6. In some variations, if you get a check in e6 with tempo, is very unpleasant, So, okay, we give a pawn for very tactical play, and we play g6. And now he takes the pawn. Now he took a pawn, and you have to demonstrate why your plan is all right. What can you do? Bishop h6, the only good move. So now he has to move the knight, because if he doesn't move the knight, he loses the knight.
Yes.
So, okay, knight g3, of course. knight g3. Now we took back the pawn, but white has time to give one check in e6. Now we have to move the king, and all right, now castle. Crazy position. I mean, if you take in c4, it's very unpleasant. Probably good chances to lose the game with black, because he has too many tactical tricks, I mean, he comes immediately with the rook in e1, has complete control all over the board, and you have to be very, very careful not to be in big trouble here with black, So again, I tell you, it's move by move. So knight a6 is very good because you want to come to c7, controlling the central squares, So he played knight e4 again. Doesn't want to give you immediately knight c7 because you lose the pawn in d6. All right, bishop f8. Strong move. What to do now with white? f3, because if he moved the knight, for instance, knight e2, it seemed that black has some problems after knight e2. But if he moves knight e2, he's lost, instead of f3.
Why?
Knight e2, knight c7, and he loses the knight from e4. That's a very big surprise for him, No place to go for the queen. So, right, f3, very strong move, of course. Yeah. Now again, it's move by move, as I told you. Knight c7, queen h3, and, okay, we come on the other side, b5. If you look like this at the position, it seems very strong for white because it has fantastic knight in e4,
Yeah.
In all kinds of positions, this is dangerous for black, If you have such a strong knight there, it's always very dangerous. But with this move b5, black is preparing a very strong counterplay on the queen side for the endgame, for any endgame. If he takes now in b5, after knight takes b5 or d5, the black knight comes into play very strongly, or in d4 or in d5. So both cases very good for black, very good counterplay. So right, he wants to, to force you to go away with the rook, of course, no? And at the same time, he prepares the defensive here, the defense for white. Okay, rook f5, b3. Until now, very good. He played very well until now. He has the good structure, I mean, he doesn't give the pawn in d5, and he plays always on white, if possible, Now he played the most normal move, rook e1, but it was better, we see later on, it was better to play immediately rook b1, rook a b1. It
B1?
looks a little bit modest because he has, the idea to control somehow the b file, So rook e1, it looks dangerous for black, but it's not too dangerous, you see, this is the problem. So right, now black has time to take, you take, and now immediately rook b8. Wants to come immediately to the rook somewhere in b2 or in b4, and okay, you have something with black. Counterplay. It's important to have always a very good counterplay. So again, move by move, as I told you, rook back to b1. He understood that the b file is important. So he moved back the rook, but now black has time for one tempo to put the rook very well in b4. Now, if you take in b4, we have the chances for endgame later on, We'll see. The game will be decided in endgame later because of this idea. The
majority.
The majority on the queen side. It's very good for any endgame, you see. All right. So now we took. All right, but here we are still in middle game. He thought that, okay, in middle game he has very good tactical chances anyway.
Yes.
So now after queen g3, bishop e5, I told you, move by move all the time. f4. Now the bishop is coming back, and all right, he moves. He prepares the idea to come with the two knights, in g3 and in g5 on the king side. It seems very dangerous, but black can defend all the time, And in the meantime, he can come on the queen side, this idea a5 and so on, preparing the end game. But it looks very dangerous, I tell you. So, okay, rook f7, knight d4. He tries to come in c6 or e6, both like that. And he wants to play also somehow knight g5 and knight e6. This is Okay, here, all right, he played knight g5, rook e7. Black has to accept the fact that the knight is coming to e6, you know. So, right here, I took. Now, he has no time to take with the pawn because he's losing the pawn immediately after if he takes, if he takes there, we move the queen, and later we want to take immediately the knight from d4, and he loses the pawn from e6. You know, if he loses the pawn, it's better for black. You know? So he took with the knight, but it seems fantastic for white. You know, such a knight in e6. You know?
Yes.
Yeah. So okay, queen a4, provoking some weakness here, move by move. You see, and provoking at the same time white to play himself f5. But after f5, the game is completely open, and if black can defend well, any endgame is better for him. You know, in any endgame, black is better, but is a long way until this endgame. You see. So took knight g5 again. It looks very, very dangerous. You know.
Yep.
So okay, queen e8, the best defense. So now rook takes, and now what to do? e5. We prepare the endgame. Move by move, but black can defend, you know, quietly like this, but quietly dangerous, you know. So, okay, so now he played queen f4. He threatens to take in d6 and threatens also something with the knight, you know, moves for instance, if has time to take in g7 and then play rook f8 check or queen takes d6, very, very dangerous, almost lost for black, you know.
Yeah.
So, okay, he play, what did I play here? a4, no?
a4.
a4.
Yes.
Now, okay, what do you do here with white? Well, big time trouble again, you know, for both. He took there. We had a little bit lucky. We have a check in g7. We could take with check, you know. So now he moves the king, no?
Yes.
King f4, and now queen g6. After queen g6, black could defend successfully, you know. I mean, in any variation, he doesn't lose in 2-3 moves. I tell you, still time trouble, but white has to demonstrate why he tries to be better, you know. All right, check now. Rook g8. Again, any endgame is better for black now because of this majority on the queen side, you know. So now, queen d4 check, queen g7. So what to do now with white? Rook f6. He understood that if he takes in g7 or in g8, the endgames are bad for white, you know. So, okay, he tries to, you know, to complicate again. Rook e8, very good, because now we cut the king for the endgame, you see. Now he can't move very well the rook from f6 because the queen is, you know, pinned. So what to do now with white, you know? So he played, you know, desperate like this. A move like this is desperate, but probably still the best because the black threat was already b3. If he plays b3, it's still even more dangerous because the pawn is far away, you know. So rook d4, he hopes to, you know, to save the game now in endgame, but it's too late. Now black is winning. So b3, again with tempo. Now what to do? Okay, he took, of course. Now I took, and then he took with check, takes. Now I think we made the moves. Now the first move, rook d4, but again it's too late. Now b2, rook d1, and now the last surprise, very logical, rook a8, and white resigned. The threat rook a1 is deadly.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah. So finally, the black's plan was better, you know, very logical, but very dangerous. In any moment, you could get a very nasty surprise, you know, in such a tactical game, you know.
So this extra pawn here made
the difference, yes. But you have to, you know,
repair it.
To be very careful in all moments, you know. If you go wrong one move, you are lost with black, you know. But all right. It happened to be
not the case.
To be everything perfect, you know, finally. You know.
Right. Thank you.
Very nice game. Yeah.